Hey, we are.
Not just Alyssa Baker, it's Dr. Alyssa Baker.
That's right.
So, Alyssa, Dr. Baker, what are you here for today at the conference?
I am actually a homeschool mom of 3 kids, and we've been homeschooling for 7 years and figured out a few years ago that at least 2 and probably 3 of our kids have dyslexia and dysgraphia. And so I have been educating myself and I'm just trying to learn more about how to teach them, about how to understand and conceptualize dyslexia and similar processes from the neuroscience perspective, because I'm a neuroscientist by training. That's what I love and what I've done for years in research.
That's what caught my attention when you first started talking with us over here. So can you explain a little bit more about what you had said about your training itself when you went through your medical training?
So I trained for 14 years. I was in school for neuroscience and medicine, and I had probably only one lecture in all of that time on learning disabilities that I can remember. I never had a real class, never really understood it. I just thought dyslexia means you can't read, and so you need a little extra help. Now, seeing it from a little bit more a different perspective after I read Dr. Shaywood's book, I was like, this is neuroscience. This is neuroscience, and neuroscientists should be talking about it, and there should be no question about understanding it and learning about it in school. And it's always hard to cover much of this in medicine because there's so much you cover anyway, but it shouldn't be such an orphan topic when 20% or more of the population has this neurodiverse brain.
Right. No, I totally agree. And you talked about how it wasn't discussed when you're 14 years, you said, when you were in school, right? As educators, wasn't brought up. I had maybe one time it was brought up in my time in my undergrad work. And when I went and got my master's, one professor talked about dyslexia maybe one day, and that's it.
But they didn't teach you how to remediate it. They didn't teach you anything really about what dyslexia was. They didn't talk about the neuroscience behind it, none of that in undergrad work. So it's so fascinating to me to hear you say, even through your 14 years, they didn't really cover that as well, as much as you would have hoped. Now that you are actually living
definitely
it.
Not. I didn't understand it. I really didn't know what dyslexia was, is what I figured out. Even this year I've been reading more. Like, I did not know what it was.
Yeah.
And now that I understand better, I still know that I have a whole lot to learn.
Oh.
And that's where I am. I feel like a beginner in this field.
Yeah, it's always changing. You can't rest on what you learned in the past. Because when I started doing this, back in the dark ages, when I started doing this, we weren't assessing kids till 3rd grade. And now we know the sooner the better, for those kids, because of the whole neuroplasticity piece of the brain when they're younger and taking all that information in. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add to tell our guests, our listeners?
Well, I think you're saying early intervention, and that, of course, sounds awesome. It was in the same boat where I didn't realize, because my kids kind of taught themselves to read almost. My daughter especially, she taught herself to read. And I didn't know for a long time that she was actually struggling a lot more than I realized. I thought she was okay, but being very ignorant, honestly, in some of these things, and just being a homeschool mom trying to teach my kids. Now my daughter's 6th grade, so we are having to come at it from the older perspective. So I didn't want to lose hope and feel like, oh my gosh, I ruined everything, and my child, but at this point I know that even though we didn't get the early intervention that would have been nice to have, I have hope that we can make it through.
Absolutely.
And get to the point that she needs to be at for success in her life.
I agree.
I think that's a wonderful thing. And, I love that you are a natural researcher, being a doctor. There are so many great researchers out there. Dr. Nadine Gabb, she's been very instrumental in that early identification piece, but also continuing on with the research. So you might want to check her out as well.
Oh,
And then, like you said, Dr. Shaywitz.
And
she's got
Guinevere
incredible-
Eden is way into the brain imaging and talking about what the brain is doing. She's another great resource to look at.
Okay.
I love
Thank
that you
you.
shared your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
fun having you.
Aw. Bye, y'all.
Bye.